Welcome in to the PHNX Suns podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Lindsey Smith here with Saul Bookman, Espo, and Gerald Bourget. Gentlemen, the question of the day is, if you use a serrated knife to cut a loaf of bread, do you wash it completely or just wipe it off and put it back in the drawer?
Oh, I wash it.
I am in a unique position because my wife has celiac disease and so does my daughter. So if it's real bread and not gluten-free bread, I have to. Otherwise, somebody gets sick.
Oh, I mean, I was just going to say I would wash it, but that's nice. You have a actual reason to do it.
And that's why you wash your knives, because you never know who's going to come over and eat some shit.
And steal your bread and not wash your knife.
And eat the residue off of your dirty-ass knife.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
That you, at the top of the show from now on, just instead of saying Espo, say Gerald Bourget's mouthpiece. I would like to be known as that from now on. I'm going to be your hype man is what I'm trying to say here. So,
nice. I think that's a lot of work. But I'll try.
All right.
I'll try. You might have to remind me tomorrow before the show starts. All right, we've got
Wait. What about you?
It depends on the situation, but half of the time I'll probably just wipe it off and put it back. I'll be honest. It's just bread. It's just bread.
It still has stuff in it.
Yeah, but you do like a quick rinse under the faucet and wipe it off and you're good. I'm talking like, do you sit there and like scrub it and all that stuff? Or is it just like a quick rinse and then call it a day?
I mean, it doesn't take much to just with the sponge and the soap.
Yeah, but I don't want to do it.
You don't have the sponge and soap in one with the little...
Yeah, but I don't want to do it.
It depends on the day, I'll be honest.
Then you got to get your hands wet. Yeah, if I'm being real lazy, I'm just gonna...
I mean, if I'm just wetting the knife and then I'm drying it with the towel, like I'm pretty much wiping off whatever might have been on there, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
From that half second of bread contact.
The hell no! Who knows what's on that sponge or that
or you could use a paper towel, or you could just set it on a drying rack. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm aware that's probably not scientifically accurate, but
probably not. Yeah, probably not.
When have we ever been scientifically accurate on this program?
All the time.
Alex, Suns have made no moves. Well, neither has the rest of the NBA.
Well, that's debatable, Alex, because we have breaking news. A tweet from the one and only Mikal Bridges. He said, Katie is hilarious, LOL. And that confirms it. Katie's coming to Phoenix.
Let's go.
We did it.
Woo!
We did it.
Told you, Espo. Suck it, Espo.
Get me the clippers. We're trimming my hair off. Ain't happening.
Well, I mean,
to
be honest, maybe we did assume too early because somebody on Twitter quote tweeted Mikal's tweet and said, I'm going to go ahead and read into this more than I should. That was from Cody. And Mikal responded to him, please don't, LOL. I think that was Mikal's message to all of us, not to overreact. But that's just a play.
Well, that's because he doesn't want to go to Brooklyn. I mean, we've already decided it's Ayton and Bridges for KD, and he doesn't want to go to Brooklyn. So he's just covering his own bases there, that it's confirmed KD's here. But Mikal's like, hey, don't trade me. Get Cam Johnson in there, somebody else, just not me.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Somebody else.
Yeah, it's all backroom dealing. I love all the Twitter sleuths out there, right? The NBA Twitter CSI, social media CSI, that they're scouring everything right now. It's like national treasures. Is there a message hidden in any of this? Can we figure out anything?
There's messages hidden in everything.
The answer is no. No, we can't.
The answer is yes. Yes, we can. Be more optimistic, Espo.
Like
believe in something.
The answer is out there.
We also got some really cool news that came on social media today. Saul, you want to tell us about this one?
Sure. LeBron's really, really rich.
Yeah.
He's the first ever active NBA player to hit the $1 billion mark, which I think is pretty cool. Just because if you know much about LeBron, you've seen all the activity that he's done in the community. The school that he built, the promise that he made. I think they called the I Promise School.
Yeah.
Out in Akron, Ohio. He's done so much in that community by itself. Even for the things that he's been shamed about, like the decision, all the money that he made from the decision went straight to the Boys and Girls Club. So in this matter, I really appreciate what LeBron does do. He's very active. He's not shy about being active. He's a philanthropist, whether you like him or not. And so kudos to him and congratulations.
Confirmation, LeBron to Phoenix. Money doesn't matter. Chasing championships does.
Well, he's just going to buy the Suns.
I was
going
to
to
say, he's just going to come here, play a year, buy the Suns, and then just run the whole team.
I'm cool with that.
He's like, I heard somebody might be on the way out.
Confirmed, LeBron James to Phoenix.
I'd like to be a part of that ownership group.
Y'all, we getting so many superstars this offseason. Let's go.
We've had an active coach. I wonder if this is against the rules in the NBA. We've had an active coach also be a head coach at the same time. Bill Russell did it in the 60s, and they won a championship, a player coach. I wonder if there would ever be the possibility of a player owner.
I don't know why not. I mean, there was always the speculation that Jordan might have tried it at some point, but I don't know why you couldn't. I mean, there's nothing.
There might be a conflict of interest.
Let's
say LeBron was still playing for the Lakers and he bought the Suns.
Well, okay,
there's a little bit of a conflict of interest.
In that case, but I'm saying the owner of said team playing for his own team, I don't know why that would be a conflict of interest.
True.
I mean, you can put anybody on your roster.
It could still be a conflict of interest because now are we going to trade the owner of our team? And then if he gets traded, then he no longer can be.
Well, he would be control of that.
But
what I would say
that's what I'm saying. That creates its own conflict.
What I would say is LeBron would, let's just say he was a Phoenix Sun and he owned the Suns. He could be like, oh yeah, I'm playing for $5 million this year, and that's it. And they just save a whole bunch of money so they can go get after it.
It's his own money, to be fair. So, like, I don't see the issue.
Like there's too many what ifs in that situation. Yeah. The NBA would never approve it, I don't think.
Gerald, call up a CBA expert. Let's understand, can a player own the team and play for the team?
That would be pretty cool.
Now we're trying to sell the Suns and get a superstar.
I mean, because Michael Jordan, didn't Michael Jordan own a percentage of the Wizards?
He might have
when he did play for the Wizards.
He might have.
That sounds right, but
I know he did when he was an executive.
Just stumbled across this. Cool.
It didn't help the Wizards.
No, it sure didn't. It hasn't helped the Hornets either. Him being the owner. So,
all right, guys. So today's topic of conversation is love and hate relationships. Mm-hmm. And the one that we all seem to have with the Phoenix Suns. So in preparation for this show, I tweeted out 2 separate tweets at the exact same time back to back. What do you love about the Phoenix Suns? And what do you hate about the Phoenix Suns? Mm-hmm. And not surprisingly, but a little bit disappointing.
She did ask us too.
Hate got far more engagement than love. And I'm talking like a ton more.
Lindsey texted us and said, who do you guys think? What do you think is going to win out? And Gerald and I immediately were like, oh, yeah, hate. Gerald actually came with the hate gif, which I very much appreciate.
How was I the only one that went love?
Like, I even tried to give love a little extra love by
Lindsey, that's why.
It into the timeline.
Fuck Lindsey. I don't give a
damn. Hate.
Lord of
damn. Espo went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Oh, man. That's tough.
With that, we're going to start with the love section because we're trying to spread some positivity around these parts after yesterday's debacle of a show. What do you guys love about the Phoenix Suns?
I will say this. I love the Suns in the simple fact that I've never been quote unquote a bandwagon fan. Mm-hmm. I've followed this team my entire life, and one of the things that I really, really appreciated was being able to, when I was in the military and not be able to watch the Suns, be able to watch these games and still feel like the atmosphere in the arena and the passion that the Suns fan base has for the Suns. And when I was able to follow the team in 2018, even though it was a bad year, you could still feel the passion from the diehards, which I always expected I would feel, but I didn't. It was the first time I could actually witness it in person. And so Suns fans might not realize it, but they are a special, unique breed of fan because we're much like what the Red Sox fans used to be before they won a World Series, and the Cubs fans used to be, like we're almost like a lovable loser where you're just like, you're so close so many damn times, you just can't get over the hump. And at some point we're going to get over the hump.
Like those dogs that are just so ugly, they're cute kind of a thing.
Shit. Damn.
You know what I mean?
That was how my wife felt about me too.
Are we that?
It's getting worse.
What do you guys love about the Suns?
Gerald, you can go first.
I mean, with this particular team, I love this group that they have, and I know it could look very different next year, and we see changes with the roster every year, but this core group of guys are a young team, a fun team. They had great chemistry, and I know that's been soured in the last few weeks by what happened in the playoffs, but like, I don't think we should lose sight of how memorable and fun this season was, even if it ended in the worst way possible. Like, these guys are all good dudes. They all get along, and they're so entertaining to talk to and to listen to sound bites of. And I don't think we should lose sight of that, especially now as we head into the offseason where pretty much everyone but Devin Booker feels not up for grabs, but you know what I mean, not necessary, not untouchable.
Not
so
necessary.
Not untouchable. That's the better way of putting it.
Yes.
But I do love this particular Suns teams, and I've been covering this team since 2015, and I've never had a locker room with a group of guys that are accessible and willing to talk to you and just good dudes all around like that. So I think that's something we're shouting out if we're talking about love.
I have a huge list. Are we just going to keep going around?
Yeah, we're just rattling some.
Well,
Should I
yeah,
just dump
and
it
then
out,
we've got a
or-
few from Twitter too that I pulled. So just give us your top one, I guess, or top two.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, and I think this comes as no surprise after yesterday's episode, the purple and orange hold a soft spot in my heart because it's the Jerry Seinfeld quote that always gets referenced. In the end, you're basically rooting for laundry when it comes to sports. Everything changes. The players, the team, or the players, the coach, the owners, the arenas. But the thing that usually stays is the team colors. So there's something about anytime I see that, no matter what it is, it gives me that feeling.
That's also why I don't have a problem with fans say we when they reference the Suns or anything like that, because I feel like as a fan, if you're a diehard fan, you've been part of this organization longer than all the players, most of the front office. Like, they live and breathe their team. So it's okay if you want to represent and say, you know what?
Also,
I'm part of the Suns too. Fuck it.
Your money is what helps keep this type of stuff afloat. If you're not watching games, if you're not buying merch, you're not buying tickets, this stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah, the Suns are the city. The Sun, and that's actually on my list. It's what this team means to this town, and we saw it even through all the crap of the previous decade. Look, this city is the team, right? Without the passion, the community, the people, the willingness to just talk about this. And it's 2 p.m. on a June Thursday when the Suns are out of the playoffs, and we have all these people in our chat. We're sitting here talking about it. The Suns are nothing without the community and the city around them. They're just a bunch of athletic guys in tank tops, in an empty building without the fans in the community. So I love that about this. I don't have to like everybody in the community, but I love the community as a whole.
I agree. I think community is probably one of the top things on my list. Like, we have a really great community here, and without the Suns, we wouldn't have that. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the things that I love the most about this team is that it's created and given us this community that we all get to enjoy every single day. Want to look at a couple on Twitter?
Of course.
So Ryan Nelly on Twitter, this is one that's on my list as well, said they are the original team here and are the only franchise to have and keep Phoenix in their name. I love the colors, logo, rich history, even with all the heartbreaks. Al McCoy, the fan base, Colangelo. They were my first love of a sports team and will always be that way. I do like the very beginning portion of this from Ryan, that they kept Phoenix instead of switching to Arizona like a lot of the teams here have. And I don't mind that some of the teams have switched to Arizona. I think Arizona flows better with some of the other teams. But for the Phoenix Suns, I'm glad that they've kept it Phoenix this long. And I hope they continue to keep it Phoenix forever.
Yeah, I think a big reason why is because the other teams they were transplant teams. The two that changed their names right off the bat, obviously the Coyotes and the Cardinals, they were transplant teams. They tried to identify with the city the same way that they had come from, and they just decided, you know what, this isn't working. It doesn't fit. So let's just be a state team instead of just a city. Whereas the Suns and the Diamondbacks originated and stuck with their their first original name, which I can appreciate and I respect, and I don't want them to flip flop. Like, you're the Phoenix Suns, that's just what you are. You're the Arizona Diamondbacks, that's just what you are. That's what you were born to be. That's what you are, and I appreciate that.
I was concerned when all the arena talk that if they moved to Scottsdale or had to move in some of these other places out of Phoenix, that would become a negotiable thing, because the Phoenix Coyotes, the only reason they changed their name to Arizona was part of a stipulation in a lease agreement with the city of Glendale at one point, was they had to change the name to the Arizona Coyotes.
They didn't like Phoenix.
How petty.
They didn't want Phoenix to get the love if Phoenix wasn't supporting the team.
Petty is that?
I mean, I get
Lord
it, though.
have mercy.
I get it. The 49ers are kind of in the same boat where they literally don't play anywhere near San Francisco. They play in like fucking San Jose, Santa Clara. And, you know, they kept San Francisco because they weren't going to call themselves the California 49ers.
Gross.
Well, next up, we've
I
got.
thought you had something to say.
No, I was
such
just
big
thinking
Huff
about
and
the 49ers being.
Next up from Begworthy on Twitter, they said, I love the fan base loyalty, history of risk-taking, creating a few of the most entertaining teams in sports history, all the incredible players who gave it their all for us, and Al McCoy.
Yeah, Al was on my list too, simply because, I mean, all but 4 years of this franchise, the guy has called it. So he's been the soundtrack of everything. You know, we talk about we talk about how everything changes. Well, Al hasn't. He's been there.
He's like the one consistent thing.
You could turn on the radio and you're hearing the same thing that that you heard when you were a kid, and there's something comforting about that for me. You know, like that means something to me. It brings me back to being 9 years old, sitting in my room, and the only way I could be connected to the team was through what Al had to say. So I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, Al's a great one. I also wanted to throw in there the fact that, like, as much as this offseason has hurt us personally, because this was supposed to be the year, I think the reason it hurt so much is because as a team that's been here for 54 years, the longest tenured team in the NBA to not win a title, the original team here in the Valley, like, when they do actually win a damn title, it's going to be like the best day the city has ever seen. Like, that championship parade is going to be incredible, and just the collective sigh of relief and joy from the fan base is going to be really cool. And I think that kind of touches on, the element of, like, we feel like an exclusive fan base at times because we've suffered through so much over the years. So when that day finally arrives where we get over that hump, like, that's going to be a really, really cool moment for the city, for the team, for a fan base, everybody involved. That's going to be really cool to witness.
Oh, I mean, even just getting back to the finals last year, we were doing a different post-game show at the time, and I literally cried on that post-game show because it was this weird emotion that came through, because it was almost this relief that, oh, finally, like, I was 9 the last time this happened. This is pretty amazing, you know. Which is also where the anger comes from,
yes,
too.
I mean, you're not the only one. Mark in the chat said, I will ugly cry if the Suns ever win a championship.
$1,000,000%.
Like, it's just like you've gone through all of this heartache and hard work to finally reach that point, and it'll come. It'll eventually come.
It's been a long time. It's been 21 years since we last saw a championship anywhere close to the Valley. So,
outside of Mercury and Rattlers, of course.
Yes, of course.
All right. Manny Romero on Twitter said, they're just the consummate underdog, the most successful team without a title, hands down. Both incredible and heartbreaking. Really the quintessential example of life. Good and bad, painful yet amazing. Sublime, sublime Suns. And like, you do have to be able to, if you are investing in anything in life, relationships, people, like a team, anything, a job, you have to understand there are going to be ups and downs within life, and you have to be along for the ride. You got to learn how to ride the wave. You know what I mean? And that's a part of the joy and the beauty of life.
Every Arizona sports team will teach you that lesson. Every single one. I mean, every single one. Everyone has flirted with the championship. Everyone has come devastatingly short. It's outside of the two that you talked about, and it's frustrating, and especially when you're talking about the big four, right? Like the four pro sports teams that most people like, kind of put on a pedestal, if you will, rightfully so or not. You want to win one because that's where all the trash talk is too. Like, fuck, I'm so sick and tired of Warriors fans or Celtics fans or Lakers fans with their 17 championships. And you're just like, I just want one.
Just one.
I just want a taste of what it feels like to be a champion. Just one. I want to wear a fucking shirt that says champion. Once outside of 1997. Once, please.
I can get you a champion brand shirt. Look, when he puts it like that, though, it makes you wonder, why am I investing all this time in something that reminds me of everyday life? I got enough that reminds me of the bad in this world.
That's sports
it's so
as a
sad
whole.
to be you sometimes.
That's sports as a whole.
It really is.
Like, Jesus. I feel so sorry for you.
It's the most high-functioning toxic relationship that any of us have ever been a part of.
Exactly.
It really is.
But that's any sort of like competitive thing, which is mostly sports. But anything like that you're going to have those heartaches and you're going to have the ups and the downs. It just is what it is.
The only problem
Frank in the chat, said being a Suns fan builds character.
It does. The only problem with being a Suns fan is outside of cheering, we really have no direct impact on the team outside of like our personal lives where we have a little bit more control. At least I do.
Depends on the day who it is, right?
Oh, man.
Jay in the chat said, I've always wondered why I was attracted to toxic relationships. Now I know why.
There you go.
I'm so sorry, Jay. Welcome, brother.
But listen, at least we've reached an enlightening kind of a moment here, and now we can work to fix it. Now we know the red flags to look for. Because the Suns have taught us that. This
is why we need, like, once a week, we need to bring a therapist in here and do therapy hours for our fan base.
Oh, no.
How did the Suns hurt you? Show me on this doll, please.
Oh, my God, too far. Okay.
No.
Right here in the heart was what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Next one, Justin on Twitter said, I love the fans, uniforms, logos, franchise legends, and my favorite current player, Devin Booker. This one is interesting. The one on this one that I kind of want to talk about is the fans, because we have that on the other side of the coin as well. So let's talk about what is great about Suns fans before we talk about what may not be the best about Suns fans.
Blind loyalty. I don't know.
Passion.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Passion, commitment.
The fact that even when it was bad, it still like stayed as a community where we're all like, yeah, we're watching bad basketball, but at least we can kind of suffer through this together and have a group to talk through about it with. So I liked that too, because I met so many great people running Sun Social, and after that it didn't matter the wins and losses. You were building those relationships with other people, some of which I still talk to this day that I met 9 years ago, when I started working for the team. So I think that's a really cool aspect.
It's pretty crazy because, up until 2019, really, I wasn't really involved in Suns Twitter as much as everybody else. I was down at the U of A and I was kind of covering the Wildcats, and I watched the Suns. I watched every single game, but I just wasn't involved on Twitter the way everybody else was. And Suns Twitter is a very real thing. It's a very real place. Like, and if you don't know, when you find out what it's all about, you're like, holy crap, like there's a lot that goes into this. And to Espo's point last year, when I joined him on the other podcast, like it was really cool to see how many people like embraced what was going on, wanted to be a part. They wanted to meet up at the arena, or they wanted to meet up at the bar or whatever. And, again, like so many relationships that have been built in just, for me, the last couple of years, which I think is fantastic. Like if it weren't for Suns Twitter, or sitting next to a guy like Gerald who didn't ever talk to me at the games. Like he just
talk to you.
He just shunned me all the time.
He's busy tweeting.
Him and Kellen Olsen. Kellen Olsen didn't say a single word to me until I gave him a stack of Sour Patch Kids, And then all of a sudden, it was like magic. He was like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?"
Because Kellen Olson is an introvert.
We're
He's
both
not just going
shy.
to strike up
I
a
know this.
conversation.
I know this.
Hold on a second. If I hadn't talked to you for years, my reward would have been Sour Patch Kids.
Right? Like,
I
damn, we
screwed this
screwed
shit up.
I took you to an oyster lunch.
You did.
Oh, that's solid.
I mean, that was far more expensive
Well, you
than
and I
Sour
didn't get
Patch
anything.
I might have to bring some
Gerald,
Sour Patch Kids.
We need to
tomorrow or
stop
something.
talking to Saul.
Lindsey was
apparently.
too good for me. I know
Oh,
that
please.
for a fact.
Please.
But another example, like I've made some really good friends through it. Like I met the writer of Deadpool and and Zombieland, all these movies, and I struck up a friendship simply because we're Suns fans. There was this connection, and we started DMing on Twitter and became friends. Like it's the craziest thing. Like I met a producer on Mad Men who was a huge Suns fan, and we just started talking. Like there's all these random people that you just meet simply because we root for this team together. It doesn't matter race, culture, religion, none of that crap matters when you're talking Suns basketball. Like it kind of goes away, and it's almost a relief in this world where everything's so damn divisive. The thing we agree on is, screw Lakers fans, but that has nothing to do with who they are. It's just the team they root for. And I think it's very cool that you can set everything else aside and just be like, hey, we have this common interest. Let's talk about it.
I love too that whenever you meet somebody in real life that you've been friends with on Twitter for a while, they're like, "Oh, you're at such and such," and it's your handle. It's not your real name. It's whatever your handle is, and I love that so much. I think that's something that just is super fun. Chris in the chat
do you get
says,
that, Lindsey?
"Well,
You're at Lindsey
that's how
Smith.
we- No, but that's how we like
TV Lindsey.
If I meet somebody, they're like, "Oh, I'm such and such on Twitter," and I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
that's
that's
how-
right.
yeah,
I know
there
you.
you go.
Like we talk all the
Exactly.
time or whatever. You know what I mean?"
Yes.
For people who don't have their real names on Twitter,
And
sure.
that is
For
helpful
sure.
when people do that,
It
because
is.
there's nothing that makes you feel worse as a human being when someone's like, "Hey, I know you from Twitter," and I'm like, "Can you give me your handle?"
Yeah,
Like,
what's
I
your
don't.
handle?
Yeah, for
The
sure.
profile pictures are this big.
Yeah,
I need like
for sure. There's a guy named at Vagoda, and he's always in the Coyotes chat. And I met him at a game, and obviously his picture is Abe Vagoda. And if you don't know who that is, it's a very, very old actor, right?
Actor, yeah.
But I met him in person, and he's like, not that guy. And he had to tell me, like, I'm Vagoda. I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha. You know,
I'd be
so-
amazed if it was, because Abe Vigoda's dead.
Yeah, he
so
is
that
dead.
would
He
be
is
pretty
dead.
impressive.
Yeah.
But no, it is cool when you just like, I wouldn't be at where I'm at in my career without that community, without Suns fans, without Suns Twitter. Like that's how I got my start.
You're
was-
welcome, Gerald.
Yeah, thank you. But
Here I was. I thought it was
Suns
because
Twitter.
of Sarver.
But like, oh god, here we go. But yeah, like it is really cool. Like when you look at where all these different people are from, and you realize you have people that you know in Australia and all over the country,
Oh, yeah.
not just here in Phoenix too. So it's a pretty cool sense of community. And I know we're going to complain about certain sects of Suns fandom here in a little bit, but by and large, like none of us would be where we are without this
Oh, man.
fan base and this community.
But
No.
also even the media set. Like I know this is a little inside baseball, but I remember when I met you. I mean, this little guy, not little, but like
No, I
young
was
kid.
little. I was
He was a
baby.
baby.
I was baby
This young kid. I mean, it was 2014. Am I right? Like,
Yeah.
And you were the new guy in the media room, and I remember going over and introducing myself, and like these little things lead to other things, and it's really cool that one central team can be so pivotal in so many lives.
Mhm.
All right, last one I got from Twitter from Philip said their uniforms.
Yep.
I think that's
sorry.
a solid one. But I think over the last handful of years at least, they haven't had too many horrible uniforms. Like I didn't love the orange ones, but once they were on the players and on the court, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So at least
Tick,
we've been
tick,
doing
tick.
it decently. I like what's supposed
No, I
what's been
do too.
reported for
I-
next year. I
I
like
do.
them.
I like the rumors too. So.
And historically, we have some of the coolest
We do have some
uniforms
cool
in
ones.
NBA, if not the coolest, with the sunburst. Like
I don't know how to read. Okay, I know how to read. That
washed wrong.
Washed wrong says, I found my dad through Sud's Twitter. And I don't know if that's an attempt at a joke or something that's really.
Or if that's a story that we
really-
need to write,
Yeah, that
because
we need to know.
I'm gonna have some follow up questions.
Hit up Gerald in the DMs.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Anything else that you love about the Phoenix Suns.
David, can you toss me that thing? You take it off the hanger and toss to me.
Oh,
This is
boy.
another thing I love from the Phoenix Suns. Just bring that on in here.
Oh,
this is why we have David in the room. It's the gray Suns jersey
You mean
from
the
back
one
in the
that
day.
Will in the chat just said the gray sleeve unis were the worst with the puke face emoji?
Here's
Those
the
ones?
actual authentic one right there. So
Because you didn't
enjoy
want to
it.
believe that Espo actually had this when he said it yesterday.
I just loved how much you guys
Oh
hated
my
it, so I had to bring it in.
Lord,
So there
those
you
were
go.
horrible.
I was gonna throw out, like Charles Barkley, Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, 7 seconds or less as things I love, but clearly we're ready to transition to hate.
Yes,
so.
please. Let's do it.
I think there's pretty much almost every single player that has come through this city who wanted to be here anyway.
Yeah.
Has some really good qualities about them, things that you could cheer for and root for as a fan. So shout out to a majority of the players out there who come
The more I.
through.
She said a majority of the players.
Yeah, I said majority. We're leaving a little bit of space for people to have their feelings still. It's okay. It's okay.
Hashtag.
All right. Well, if you are ready for the NBA Finals and a champ to be crowned, you can join the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers
things we don't like.
can make any $5 NBA bet and get $150 in free bets instantly. And if you're looking to turn another small bet into a big payday during the NBA Finals, you can do that with same game parlays. This NBA season, there was a customer who placed a $5 same game parlay and won over $5,000. So if you think you got what it takes to do that, download the DraftKings
I think
Sportsbook
that's a
app.
lazy parlay because if you get deep into parlays, you can make a lot of money. 5 to 5,000. Come on, buddy, you can do better.
I
So
feel like that's
aggressive.
pretty good. I take
Could do better.
5,000.
That's not bad at all. I would be so stoked about that. If you want to get in on the action, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code PHNX. And after you use that code, just make any $5 bet during the NBA Finals and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and older only, Arizona only, gambling problem, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only, minimum $5 minimum deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Saul, what's our pick of the week?
Jason Tatum, 10 points, 3 assists in the first quarter for plus 3,500.
Oh.
Easy money. Take it.
Put that and one
Those
other
are
thing in
really
the
good
parlay,
odds,
you're going to
aren't
win more than $5,000 for $5.
Well, there you go. Now you place that bet when you use the promo code, and then you get $150 in free bets, and then you'll make even more money.
I'm taking that bet, Saul. I like that.
That's a good one. Well,
Sounds
that's
good.
our
Not bad.
DraftKings pick of the
It
week.
seems pretty it definitely seems possible.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Shall we talk about what we hate about the Phoenix
Yes.
Suns?
Here,
I hate those jerseys.
Can I? Yes, absolutely. But I actually want to start off with something that I hate that actually has a lot to do with you, Lindsey.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
I
snap.
motherfucking hated the transformation center. I so hated that whole thing and how you got stuck in there for it felt like forever. I just hated everything about that. That thing was just, it just didn't even make any sense. It didn't make any sense. The commercials were just, what are we doing here? And that's no knock on you. I thought you
I
did
didn't
a
get to write
fantastic
the
job.
script.
I know. You
Come
did a
look at a
fantastic
model of the
job.
arena
But
we
it
have.
became a joke, at least in our office. We're like, she's never leaving the transformation center. I wonder if they ever let her out. Do they feed her in the transformation center? Does she have water? Is she okay in there? Blink twice if you're okay,
He
Lindsey.
actually
Like,
sent a SWAT team.
oh
in
my
to get her.
gosh,
That's how
that
we
whole
got her
thing
out.
was just ridiculous. So
Well, you
that's
should
what I
have
hate.
come broke me out.
I mean,
Just
Well-
let me like
Well, you were
suffer.
like in a bubble because we were in the pandemic.
This is
So
true.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, she was all alone in there, so it was.
It was even worse. Alone with my thoughts and feelings. Oh Lord.
That is funny.
Okay, so when do you guys want to start with yours first?
I
before we
want
go
to
Twitter?
touch on a related one to
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
And I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but I did not like the way that they did you and so many employees
Absolutely.
wrong during the pandemic. That was ugly to me, and that was gross, and I still have bad feelings about that. And I feel like I still haven't gotten over the fact that they never did anything to right that wrong.
they never really explained what happened or why.
No, they
Nope.
called it
DC Headley is one of the best dudes you could ever
Yes.
fucking
Mhm.
meet in your life.
Yep.
And the way they did him was just absolutely trash.
with a
but
kid with health problems
yeah,
too.
man,
Like
it was
that-
awful.
Look, and it wasn't. I'm going to get on the soapbox. And one of the things I hate on my list is Robert Sarver's tenure with the Suns. So let's just rip that Band-Aid off if we're going to start there. It wasn't just in the pandemic the way that stuff was handled. You saw in some of the reports that have come out over the last year, toxic culture on the business side. They did a lot of people wrong throughout that, Lindsey included in that, and I think it's a shame that things were handled that way, and I hate that. And one of the other things on my list, and I actually thought this was where you were going to go, the fact that they have no sideline reporter. I mean, you were there, now they don't have one. I think you set the standard, and they can't find anybody to reach it, and they couldn't come crawling back to you. So,
well,
I
will say this, unfortunately. What I have seen is around the NBA, there are selective cities that are starting to take that position away. And they've actually, the Bally's took away the Diamondback sideline reporter, and they put people up in the booth. And I don't like that either, because one of the cool things about that is the personal touch that you provide on the court in the moment. Hell, we never get a Kelly Oubre freaking mic bump if you're not there on the sideline, you know what I mean? And it's all well and good that TC and Tom Leander are in the booth asking questions, but again, they're in a booth or they're watching the game from 500, 600 feet away. You're literally right there courtside, watching everything, talking to the coaches. You're in the moment, like you got a better feel of what's going on down there. So I agree with you guys. I don't like that either.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, the whole Sarver era has been problematic. I'll leave it
I
at
mean,
that.
we'll just say with the tweet that I did send out asking people how they felt about like the hate side of this conversation, that was the number one thing that
you
was
not being there anymore?
No.
Oh.
the ownership was the number one issue that people had with this team. Secondary to that was just failure to win a championship / history of coming up short. And then third most, and this is not like, I didn't go through and like count these, but just based on what I was able to see and how often, third most was basically that they love the Suns so much that it hurts and I hate it. Those were the top
Those are all
three.
fair.
Those are the top three.
You got to have a little masochist in you to be a fan of this team. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
I think that's outside of like the Yankees, the Celtics, and the Lakers. I feel like that's sports fans in general, though, because that's the great myth, right? One out of 30 or 32 teams win a year. So mathematically, a bunch of fans are going to be horribly disappointed at the end of the dance.
Yep.
But it's tougher when you've been there for, franchise has been in this place for 54 years. I think they're up to fifth again, winning his franchise, and have never won it in the NBA history. That's with each passing year that it doesn't happen, it gets a little bit harder to stomach that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, it's definitely something we all can.
And it's weird
hate
because Suns fans or just Arizona sports fans in general never get mentioned in the same way as like the most tortured fan bases as other cities do, like Cleveland or
like there's empathy for those
Minnesota.
ones, but for us it's like, well, we hate you anyway, so too bad.
We fly under the radar no matter what for some reason.
I think it's because most people think of Phoenix as a sports town as relatively young.
Yeah.
Because all the other teams haven't been here that long.
But it's also like as a state, technically, if you're comparing any state on the West Coast to the East Coast, it would be younger.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I think that's part of it is it's a lot of these Midwest towns that, Cleveland and the Browns, that's, it's forever, all these things. It's like, 1968 was a hell of a long time ago, like when the Suns came here. I mean, it literally was tumbleweed and cacti. Like it's the cliche. That was when the Suns came here. It was not a metropolis like it is now. So yeah, it sucks that it's been that long and that there are people that have lived and died without seeing this team win a championship.
That definitely sucks.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I do dislike about the Suns is this one is more recency bias, I think. The minute that we got good, the prices skyrocketed. And I feel like they iced out a lot of the diehard fans who had been there through the 19-win seasons who were no longer able to afford to go to Suns games. They made it inaccessible to the people who had been around during the worst times through the franchise, and I think that was really messed up. Like, it wasn't like, I understand a price increase when you become more popular team and you start winning, the demand is there, but like, I remember last year people were talking about how prices were more than tripling sometimes in certain situations. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and
that's aggressive.
That's greed.
I hinted at this a couple of times during the playoffs, but I didn't want to directly call attention to it because I didn't want to make it seem like, oh, this is the reason the Suns aren't playing well in this playoff run or come off as sour grapes. But there was a noticeable difference in energy and just the seats being completely packed last year compared to this year. It felt like this year the building could still be electric, but it was nowhere near what it was last year. And I think a lot of that has to do with what Lindsey's talking about as far as people being priced out of tickets, regular season too, not just playoffs.
It's more of like a status than it is like an actual event that you want to go and enjoy.
Right.
It's cool to sit courtside. It's cool to sit within the first 10 rows, but half those damn people aren't even paying attention. They're just talking and they're just to be there or to go do the other extras like the club and free drinks and all this other stuff. Like, hey, listen, I've been fortunate enough to sit courtside. I was very, very lucky to do it. But I'll be damned if I wasn't on my goddamn feet almost the entire time, like rooting on the Suns, because that's what you're there for. You don't just sit there on your hands. And you're right. Like, you could feel it in the building. You could see it on TV and hear it on TV. It was not the same as last year for sure.
Well, and it's not just those first 10 rows. I mean, I've told this story before. My family paid $800 for literally last row in the building tickets to game 1 of the NBA Finals. My back was up against the stadium wall, and I'm not making that up. And I mean, that's insane. You're never going to get a younger group of fans, kids in middle class families or lower earning homes to get to go out there. And that's how you build a long-term fan base, is there has to at least be part of it that's affordable there for everybody. And that's how you get rowdy fans too.
Right.
That's why, the upper deck tends to be the more rowdy place, because that's where the true passionate fans tend to be, not the people going to be seen. And that's painting with a wide brush. It's not everybody in the lower world, but a lot of those expensive tickets are that case.
It was just a different energy in the building, and it was weird because last year the bleachers would be damn near full before the game had even started, and there'd be random chants breaking out during warm-ups. And this year it was like, okay, the anthem's playing, and I see a lot of empty chairs. Not like, regular season empty chairs, but like more than there should be for a playoff game for a team that won 64 games. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. Do you guys have any others? I have one more.
Goats crapping in executive offices.
See, that's in my love column. I think that's hilarious.
I don't love that. I have a couple others.
It's funny because of how tragic it is that actually happened to an NBA executive.
It's not made up. I've seen pictures of said goats. They were real. Do you have more?
I have a couple more. Go ahead.
I won't go on a long rant. You can go with a few more.
I hate that and this is not anything directed at the players or the coaches or anything directly, but I do hate the fact that this was supposed to be the year and instead we got a second round playoff collapse. I don't think even a title will ever erase the memory of what could have been this season, because this should have been the year. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with particular parts of the fan base, the Suns in 4 stuff. The rapid rise to ascension also brought a lot of shit talkers to the fan base. And it's not the reason they lost, but it was kind of comeuppance for the team and the fan base as far as like, look, if there's one franchise that should not be tempting the basketball gods with Suns in 4 chance after going up 2-0, it's this one. Like, have you not been paying attention to the 53 years that came before, or even last year when they went up 2-0 and we got the Suns in 4 chance? Like, that kind of mentality, and I know it's not everybody, and I know it's not the reason they lost, but that kind of mentality still bothers me.
But Gerald, you got to appreciate when you've been in a relationship that long, you need to keep things spicy, right?
Right.
And they found in back-to-back years 2 new ways to disappoint us. So at least it was something different,
spicing
right?
up the toxic relationship.
I don't know if it was Espo's pessimism rubbing off on me, but about like the last month of the season, I don't know. I had a feeling like this might not be it. And so when it was finally not it, I wasn't as disappointed as I think
Same.
a lot of people were. Like I was like,
I think I wrote that off because they were resting guys and had nothing to play for. And I think it's fair to question whether that, 1 or 2 week period helped get them rusty or took them out of the right frame of mind that they needed to be in for the playoffs. But they basically kind of jogged down the home stretch and still won 64 games. Like if they had a reason to continue playing, they probably could have won 67 or 68. And that's an all-time great team. And I feel like that gets lost by every measure. They should have been the championship favorites, and then it just fizzled. And that's something that like you'll kind of never get over as a fan or as someone who covers the team.
I don't know. I had the same feeling you did.
Yeah.
And I do understand, Gerald, though, your perspective of you kind of feel like it was resting guys and like kind of, for lack of a better word, you were kind of coasting to the playoffs because you had already wrapped up the important parts of your season, like locking in the 1 seed and everything. But there was just this gut feeling that it was something else, that it wasn't just the resting guys and getting to the playoffs. There was just something lingering inside that was like, I don't know, man.
I saw no evidence of that.
I felt like
you got to work on your gut.
I feel like that's just the Suns' impulse to be like,
no. I felt like there was things that we saw throughout the season that were not obvious and not like, somebody might have a bad game, but that's okay because Devin Booker bailed him out or CP3 bailed him out, and it was all good. Once I started to see like CP3 as a game manager was like, he was an okay game manager, but he would erupt in like the fourth quarter or whatever. And then once I started to see the teams like really going after CP3, even in the game where he was 14 for 14, like I said, I will forever say this. It was the most like ugly and unimpressive 14 for 14 you could ever see, because it was just like mid-range.
It wasn't flashy.
Yeah, it wasn't flashy. It wasn't like when he dominated the very next round against Luka, where he just made it look stupid time after time again, right? It was like, he hit every part of the rim, and it was just like, it looked like a lot of effort to get that done, right? And so when I saw that, I was like, huh. And then after the Luka thing and how Dallas attacked him in game 3 and 4, and nobody else was stepping up, that's when I was like, oh shit, this is not good. And then Mikal has a good game, and game 5, seemingly they're back on track. I felt like I was always preparing myself for failure just in case. And when you do that, it's a little bit easier to accept defeat the way.
That's definitely a trauma response, though.
Oh yeah, for sure, 1,000,000%.
And I think that's fair because like once the playoffs started, I think we talked about this when I was in New Orleans for game 4 or game 6 on the post game show, and we all kind of agreed like, this team doesn't feel like a title contender right now.
Yeah.
But I still would argue, even as the regular season was winding down, I still very much felt like they were the favorites, that they would flip the switch like they had done all year long, and they just didn't.
When you have a team that has chemistry, that chemistry has to be on point. And I definitely felt like their talent level wasn't so far supreme to everybody else, right? It was the chemistry that set them apart. And once that looked like it was starting to go away, that's when it was like, oh, fuck, this does not feel good at all.
And it's such a delicate balance with chemistry. And when one thing, and we still don't know what that first thing was, but it acts like dominoes. And I think we just saw that everything started imploding by the time you got to that 7th game and you get that reaction. I think Icon explained why it happened, though. He says named his daughter Devin, and then the Suns went 9-10 for the rest of the season in playoffs. So it's Icon's fault in the chat.
Way to go, Icon.
I have 2 other things that are on my hate list that we the Valley jerseys not coming back, big on my hate list. I love that design, love the court, felt like it was emblematic of this team and this generation of Suns. And then the other one is the fact that the games on Bally Sports Arizona aren't available on any streaming network.
Yes.
Because I'm too cheap to pay for cable is what I'm trying to say.
It's not going to change anytime soon.
Well, because it's not even that you're there's nothing on TV like cable that I can't get on streaming sites except for Suns games.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not going to pay that much all year long just to watch Suns games.
It's bad.
That are 5 minutes behind real time.
Yeah. Supposedly they're going to be launching their own streaming service where you can get all the teams. It's gonna be like $20 a month.
Oh yeah, no. So actually, it's funny that you brought that up. So, Nesson, I think, out in
New York,
out in Boston.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
Nesson is Boston. They just launched their own streaming service for the Red Sox.
Mhm.
$30 a month or $330 for the entire season.
Ooh.
That's
a lot of money.
Sounds like
for one sport.
Bally Sports won't be as expensive, and you'll get the Coyotes.
If that is the market rate set for them for just a team.
Yeah, but that's the Boston Red Sox.
Dude,
no other fan base.
I'm going to say this. Working in that building, Sinclair is a greedy fucking organization.
Wait.
They are going to charge you arm and leg if they think they can.
It's not worth it. Nobody's going to pay it.
If
Red Sox fans, you could have said it's going to be $420 a month, and they'd go, "Wicked pissa, I'm in on this. Let's get my socks."
Dude, you could get ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu bundle for less a month.
Oh, I know.
That's just for one team.
That's for one team.
That's
gross.
Insane. I like all the people who are like, "Hey, if you need help with any certain websites or technical issues next season, let me know."
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Solid.
I know
That's
where,
a real community
I know where
there.
those are. Thank you. We'll keep that on the DL.
Last thing I had, and this kind of goes back to the fan base thing, and this is not for everyone again, but I hate that having a basketball discussion about DeAndre Ayton has become so difficult, because on the one side you've got DA stands, on the other side you've got people saying DA is trash, and I just want to be able to find a happy medium. If you disagree with me on my opinion about DA as a basketball player or his skill set, that's totally fine. But in the offseason, especially with the way that the year ended and all the buzz around that particular topic, I hate that we cannot just have like a basketball discussion about where he needs to grow as a player, who he is as a player, all that fun stuff. Again, my basketball opinion is not the end all be all, but that's the kind of stuff I like talking about. And with DA, it feels like it's never about that. It's always about money held him back, or the point guard stunted his growth, or ridiculous things like that you can't really prove with any evidence.
Or like him playing video games until 2 a.m. in the morning.
Like it's all just, it's on both sides. It's so aggravating, and I wish we could just talk about more of the basketball stuff with him.
Nope.
Sorry. I was going to say, it's interesting that you bring that one up, because we did actually have a tweet that I grabbed from that tweet I sent out about what you hate about the Suns. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, so I apologize. Ariello said the fans. Suns have it rough with them. And I looked at this person's account, and in his bio, it says he's a Bulls fan. And there were quite a few of these type of tweets, though, in response. And they basically were like, Suns fans are like the thing we talked about last week. They're too much bark for not enough bite to back things up. But this one stood out to me because he said Suns have it rough with them. And I think that kind of goes in line with, Gerald, your idea around this conversation around DeAndre. And I feel like all too often times, majority of fans, I feel like, are pretty respectful to players. But we do have portions of our fan base who will literally at a player with some of the most outrageous words and just say things that are completely unnecessary, that it's just like, you need to pump the brakes. Like, that is not okay.
I don't think that's just Suns fans.
No, I think that's fandom as a whole, but we are specifically speaking to Suns fans right now, I think.
So I'm sorry, you should never add a player if you have something horrible to say to him, ever.
What's the point?
There's
what are you
nothing.
getting out of that? Like,
you're just trying to incite a
goal is to
reaction.
You're just
hurt
clout
somebody.
chasing just to be angry online.
Yeah, and what's the player going to do? It sets him up for nothing but failure. Like, if he responds to you, he's going to be viewed one way or another, and it's just, he's not going to respond like that. That's just not their place. They don't care. They don't care that you think that they're a piece of crap. Like, move on.
Generally don't tag athletes in anything unless you're
Seriously.
thanking them for something or praising them or
it's-
be nice. Like,
It goes beyond just the tagging, though. It's the conversation, too. Like you said, if you want to have a legitimate conversation around, like, why he can be a better player or how he can be or things that need to be changed or whatever it may be, that's fine. But when you start making assumptions or attacking people's character based off of rumors, you're just adding fuel to a negative fire that is so easy for people to grab onto. And that does nothing for anybody.
If you got a problem with me, feel free to just directly at me. Your hate fuels me. So that's I just would like you to know.
That's a rough invitation.
If you have
to
something to say,
I don't
Good luck
retweet that.
to you.
Yeah, if you have something negative to say, like, just think, would I say it to their face?
Yes,
Honestly, and about 99% of the time, you would absolutely not. And I kind of like this new wave. I'll just say what it is. I kind of like this new wave of NBA player that's kind of sick of the fan shit. And it's kind of like, you know what? No, you need to go because you just called me the N-word, or you just called, you just went at my wife in the stands. Like, no, you guys got to go. Like, you all because you buy a ticket. And I understand, like, if you want to sit courtside and talk shit to a player, but there's an art to it. There's an art to it. If you go to the playground and dudes talk trash, like, there's an art form to talking trash. You can't just pull shit out of your ass and make fun of somebody's, mom or sister or whatever because of whatever. Like, you got to come artfully with it. Right. So if you want to be courtside, like, that's how you should approach it. Like, if you would say it to their face and you don't feel like it would be an altercation, by all means, go ahead. But most of these dudes and most of these people out there, They don't understand that. They don't understand that. It's probably because they never got punched. That's why.
There's difference between heckling and, like, going at someone and treating them less than human.
Well,
like that.
Charles asked a question in the comments, said, but to be honest, will anyone really take constructive criticism as is without looking at it as shade? Here's the thing. No, I disagree. I think people would take constructive criticism, but it needs to come from the right place. If I'm a professional NBA level player, I am not going to take constructive criticism from a guy on Twitter. I'm going to take constructive criticism from NBA level coaches, other NBA level players, people who are on the same level, which is the same way and reason why you see so many people in sports media and social media don't read the comments. Like, that whole thing took off. That it was like a whole natural grassroots campaign. Don't read the comments, because it's like, if you're trying to provide constructive criticism, you have to think about how would you want to receive it. Would you want some random Joe Schmo off the street to come tell you that you suck at your job and here's what you need to be better?
No.
Or if it was coming from a random, would you appreciate them being like, hey, you know what? I watched your show. I really love how you do this, but I think this would maybe help you be better in this area. It's context also matters.
Absolutely, 1,000,000%. And like, when this network and what we're trying to do, like, I've been absolutely open about, like, if you have a problem or if you have some constructive criticism for what we do here, hit me up in the DMs. I've probably got about 100 DMs over the course of the last 9 months from people that have said, hey, I like this, but have you ever thought about doing this? Or suggestions, or even when I put out the bar tweet, like, there was a ton of responses. Like, people were actually very, very enthusiastic that we're going to do a sports bar, and they had a lot of feedback and constructive feedback, and where we shouldn't put it because of X, Y, and Z. Like, it's okay to do that, but you can't cross the line. You can't cross the line and be like, oh, don't put it in Mesa because I hate Espo's mom. Like, what the hell? That has nothing to do with
my
anything.
mother is a saint.
So you just gotta be cool about it.
Also, but I love the responses to that tweet because they were all the same places that I was telling you need to do it.
No, because a lot of them were East Valley there.
No, it was all downtown.
Hey, Lindsey, have you ever been to Gold Canyon? I think that's where we're going to put the bar.
Hard pass.
Apache Junction. We're turning around the city, baby. Let's go.
Can we have a little fun to close this out?
Wait, we have one more.
Because I have to get to
one more. Bishnoff. This one stood out to me. Bishnoff.
Oh, what the fuck did you say?
Bish.
You called me what?
On Twitter said zero attention given to international fans. I think this one is also really important because we have so many fans in our chat who are tuning in from London and Mexico and Australia and all these different places. And I understand that it is a hard logistical thing to do in order to get merchandise to fans who are outside of the country. But I do wish more teams would give a little bit of love to international fans because they have to go through so much to even be able to consume the content and the games. So just a little bit of love to them.
I agree, but you know why they don't.
Because it doesn't make money.
Yeah,
I get that, but still, that's why I hate it.
I think it's dumb too because running Sun's Twitter, you see, I got a chance to see just how wide that fan base is in foreign countries, and they deserve the credit because they're just as passionate, if not more so, because sometimes they're getting up at 2 a.m. to watch a game making
Right.
effort that fans stateside aren't necessarily. So.
Exactly.
All right, let's have some fun before we get out of here.
Mhm.
Can we put the tweet up that we had earlier from John Boy, our friends over at John Boy Media? Yeah, let's look at this.
Oh,
This
God.
is this is going to be, and let me pull up the actual tweet so I do it justice. This is the University of Miami, and they're going to be serving vanilla milkshakes with buffalo wings, ranch, and hot sauce all in one cup at tomorrow's baseball game.
I hate whoever created this. I'll just put that's on my list too.
Dude, this is everything that I want in a cup.
This,
Coming from the man who doesn't like cheese, are we surprised?
no, but
That has nothing to do with cheese.
we want.
No, I'm just saying your taste is terrible.
We
No,
wonder
it's
why we're the
awesome.
fattest nation in the world, and I'm part of that problem. But that's one cup with ice cream and hot wings
Dude.
and ranch. Like,
And celery and carrots?
When I-
What
we
on
might as well
earth?
call it the Widowmaker because that's not
Well,
good
listen,
for anybody.
the celery and carrots you toss out automatically. You're not eating that shit. The fried chicken and ice cream? Hells yeah.
I
Are
love
we
how
serious?
So
hello
if I
in the
make you one of
comments.
those, will you
But
eat
it's-
it?
Yes.
it's
Yeah, I
like-
really know it. First of all, you ain't making me shit because you don't cook at all. So no,
It's
I
not
will
like
not
fried
eat.
chicken though. Like fried chicken, it's like
A chicken
wing.
wing. It's not
Yeah.
the same thing.
Oh,
What kind of chicken wings do you have that are not fried?
well, no, but when
It's
you
just
say
not the
fried
same
chicken, you
thing.
think of like fried chicken, not like hot wings.
No, I
you
know,
what
but
mean?
the frying of the wing is like this
just-
is money.
I thought it was ranch when I saw the picture, and I was like, okay, that's pretty gross,
That's a
but
lot
at
of
least
ranch.
that makes sense. And then it's a milkshake, and that's
With the ranch and hot sauce in the vanilla ice cream.
ooh.
Hello in the chat said this picture is why other countries make fun of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Listen, I'll try anything
Oh
once,
my god.
and I definitely would try that.
Listen, I'm not saying that I wouldn't. Well, okay, the question I have is because the picture didn't have ranch and buffalo sauce mixed in, but the comment said there
Oh, no.
was.
It's
Right?
in there.
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
it's in the milk. It's in the vanilla.
That
ice
is
cream.
what I think is the most ridiculous part of this thing. Like, I can understand your idea. It's like French fries and ice cream. They
Like
go
you
to
take
hand
out the
in hand.
drumstick.
I understand
Yeah.
that. But when you add in buffalo sauce and ranch into a vanilla milkshake, what the hell is
No.
happening?
That part, like I didn't see that either, so I can't really confirm. Why are you sure it's in there?
Yes, it says it's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a hard no. Hard
Mm.
no. Well, if you're going to go out this summer to ballparks and try ridiculous foods, make sure you're safe and healthy when doing that. COVID-19 vaccines are free for everyone 5 and older. Those 12 and older are also now eligible for a booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find-vaccine for a location near you.
You're not wrong,
This-
Charles.
this
You're
feels
not
like
What
wrong.
did Charles say?
He says Saul seems like the quote, "It's all going to the same place," end quote guy. True.
That thing looks like what you do when the edible hits, right?
Oh
You're
my
like,
gosh.
I got the munchies.
Oh,
That's
dude.
totally
If I had
it.
an edible, that thing is going down.
I think
Okay.
I'd even be
Really,
like,
come
that
on.
sounds pretty good.
I would sit there and I would eat it. I'm like, come on. You know you want to try it.
And then
Listen.
everyone who didn't have an edible would be like, no.
What's
No.
not to like?
No.
You bite one end of meat, then you suck the shake off the end of the stick. It's perfect.
No,
So gross.
those are
So perfect.
just very
So
different
gross.
flavors.
So gross.
So many
Speaking of
flavors.
edibles,
Should
thank
have
you
to
for
be
that.
salty.
Stop by your local dispensary and grab some amazing scratch-made THC gummies from our friends at OG's. They've got different flavors like blackberries and cream and watermelon. And if you are interested in trying all of the amazingly delicious varieties of flavors that OG's Brands has to offer, go to ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZ brands.com to find OG's near you. I don't know why every single time I read the website for OG's, I want to do it with a jingle.
Because it sounds like, well, they're not a sponsor, so I don't-
But it's like
There's a-
OGEEZbrands.com.
there's
That was
You know what I
hella
mean?
catchy right
You
off
can
the
really
bat.
listen to the thing
No,
about
do you
it.
like,
remember
every
a
single
specific
time,
place
that's
in
exactly
Tucson
what my head thinks. Yes,
that had a
everybody
similar
knows
jingle?
all of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's yeah.
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
the website just immediately goes to, we need a jingle.
You're gonna have to
We
start.
need a jingle.
singing
We're gonna have
that
to
part
clip
like
that and
this
put
now.
it to music, and we'll just play it.
You backed yourself in a corner on this one.
All right. Well, thank you guys for
I feel like
tuning
that's
in.
coming up on the wheel of
Great.
of destiny.
Love it. So excited. We'll see you guys again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Come hang out with us. Same place, same time as always. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter at LindseySmithAZ. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Remember, if you have a death wish, the University of Miami has the drink for you. Ahoy, hoy!